before there's a chance for T1 to ban it out. But here you go, T1 immediately grabbing Faker's Talia, which has been point and click this tournament.
It feels like there is not a skill shot that this guy cannot connect with. He has been incredible thus far. I want to point out, as we get deeper into Fearless, something to keep our eye on. Double support bans targeted at Keria. The Bard, the Nico, impressive stuff. KT, are they willing to keep leveraging these bans as we go deeper in the series? Something that we'll need to track, something that the Death brought up. But the Talia, as well as the Varus here in game one. T1 are not pulling any punches. These are picks that have been so incredibly successful for them across the tournament.
We're doing greatest hits, right? Triple bans going towards BDD, which I think, given his form this tournament, has been absolutely stellar. Complete no-brainer. But there is that Rumble you mentioned, even when Perfect was struggling throughout this year. Rumble was a champion you could trust him on no matter what. And I love that they took away the Talia, not just because of Faker's pedigree, but also on what BDD has been able to do with it. Particularly that Wukong-Talia combination, absolutely lethal. And it's going to be the pickup of the Rise here for BDD, a counter pick we've seen many times into Talia. And we're not done because Oner gets his Xin.
Oh, how an epic matchup we have ahead of us. Watch out for BDD, looking for some flash plays, looking for some solo kills. As you mentioned, though, we are going down the tier list for both sides. So both sides are getting a lot of what they want. This is what you expect in game number one. All right, let's get into the bottom lanes, though, because the rest of the bottom lanes, for both these teams, the push has been incredibly important. So already banning out some of these poke answers to the Varus. The Ezreal has definitely been one of those.
And we heard so much about how crucial the bot lane 2v2 is. T1 securing the Varus earlier in the draft, banning away some of the potential comfort picks for Dom, something that has to be respected because KT, yes, their top side is incredible, but if it costs them a strong bot lane, it could be disastrous.
And I want to highlight as well, I think both teams drafting towards their tendencies. KT have been an incredible team-finding team this tournament. It's also what they use to take down Gen G way back in LCK playoffs. And T1 already have so much early skirmishing power. Both the Varus as well as the Xin, and specifically the Xin Talia, can really allow you to snowball early, something that T1 has loved doing ever since this four-man core came together.
Eyes now on what the final ban will be here from the side of KT. Another support potentially to be taken away. Sivir, Ezreal, the 280 bans. Sivir, of course, fantastic at empowering a lot of these diving threats from the side of KT. And T1, the Renata taken away. I like that. Heads-up play from the side of KT to limit the counter-engage options to make sure that their dive can be affected. But we're looking at a Keria counter pick available as we get later in the draft.
Poppy!
Oh, does make sense here. Poppy is going to come through here for Keria. I do want to like the Poppy a lot into the Wukong. Also want to highlight, normally I could see KT go towards Ziggs, but with already double AP, I don't think that's going to be an option.
Yeah, maybe like an Ashe or something like that. It has been really good for both of these AD carries. So if you pick Ashe early, then the Fearless bans for later, and that would lend some more engage to this team. But they've got a lot of options open down here. He has also really liked the Caitlyn pretty early on in some of the series. Nice, okay, so they do go for the Ashe option we were talking about, and if you just pair that with some sort of team fighting support here for Peter, the Braum, he has been able to use Braum as an engaged champion even in some scenarios, and the double Freljord really rounds out their team fight.
And Doran gets his Ambessa. This to me is the champion that he started kind of the turnaround on. Coming into T1, there was a lot of pressure on this player, and it wasn't
over that Summoner's Cup. We have made our way onto the Rift for the first game.
A brief moment
30 seconds until minions spawn.
for the fans on both sides. But no surprise in any arena when the T1 fans are just that little bit louder. We've said it before, but it feels like every single arena we go to, no matter what region it is in, T1 are the hometown heroes.
Already seeing a very aggressive level 1, as you would expect from both Ashe and Braum here. I want to highlight one thing that we've seen this tournament is the arms race when it comes to teleport in the bot lane. Right now, Guma did actually go for the teleport, and Dom hasn't. So Dom does have the Combat Summoner, but they need to actually get any mileage out of that, because if not, you are going to lose in the long run if you have even trades, because your opponent will be able to cheat tempo way better than you do. And we'll also see whether lane swaps might play a part in that as well, because teams have been very happy to swap for grubs.
Yeah, meanwhile on the other side, Guma won't have a cleanse if he does get hit by an Ashe arrow.
Yeah.
And so we'll see which bet ends up paying off.
And it's important to note, as thrilled, as excited we are at this matchup, the story of these two teams this year has been incredibly one-sided. The most recent best of we saw, KT were able to make the upset happen, but it's only because of the tournament form that we've seen from KT that there's faith that this telecom war isn't just going to be one-sided.
Yeah, there's a little interesting bit at the very end there.
That was a 2-0.
One little bit of an upset, and we have been seeing this KT ROLSTER coaster keep going up. Gen G had similar dominance over this team, and KT were able to upset them.
Yeah, and shout out to the production team for this graphic on a side note. We said Galaga, we were kind of joking, but it does feel apt. It's not a roller coaster anymore, it's a spaceship, but if there's one team that might bring them back down to earth, it is Faker himself. Of course, we did see in the meantime a bit of early trading on the bottom side, heal used from Peter for that additional movement speed to make sure some of that damage would stick, but Peter and Doctam, they're getting prio, but losing out a bit when in terms of overall HP. That said, Guma has already popped the pot, so still quite favorable for KT overall.
Still cookie for Doctam as well, as both junglers will be pathing towards the bot side. Obviously, Wukong prefer to just farm to 6. Has a decent access to lanes, but not really any CC, nor that meaningful damage to speak of, particularly pre-first base, but really not until he gets a Triforce. Oner, though, on the Zinzao, has been, for me, the main early game engine for T1 for, well, I could say the entire year, but we can go a couple years back at this point. There's been a reason why this man has really been, I think, by many considered over the whole year the best jungler that we had in the LCK.
And the desk so beautifully highlighted his consistency, right? He feels like the rock for this team. That's been doubly true for T1 domestically. Of course, at Worlds, so many of the members of the team have stepped up, so it doesn't just feel like Oner running the show in the early game, but need to see where those early ganks are going to come from, because the Xin, we know, can have that early impact, even while we expect the Wukong to farm.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, that Wukong that I really highly prioritize right now, as far as the jungle pool, is going to find the first skirmish.
Cuz kicking things off, Keria waiting off to the side, TP already used, flash backwards, the concussive blow stacking, Oner 2, 4, manages to lock him down, and that's going to be first blood. They're donating it to BDD.
The roam up the bottom lane here. Peter on the Braum again. He's able to roam early into the river. That makes the difference. The concussive blows actually makes the difference. They pop the blast cone, and it is KT who strike first.
And let it be known that BDD is like, oh, you want to fight for Scuttle? I'm TPing straight to river. And it's that bot lane prio we talked about. Because they had the prio, starting level 1, Peter was able to roam up, and Oner gets caught off guard.
Pushing lanes are everything for early jungle skirmishes. This is the first highlight that you ever talk about for jungling, for objectives. BDD comes over, he roams down, Peter roams up, and KT as a team are able to collect their first blood. We did warn against the possibility of BDD also taking over, by the way. He has been magnificent at this tournament. He has been such a carry player all year long for this KT squad.
And what I love with BDD is it goes way further back, right? Is perfect!
All in, Doran forced to flash back, just a trade of flashes, but Doran struggling to survive now in this matchup as Peter does his best to hold the wave. Keria going for the knockback on the heroic charge. Guma a bit more damage, but clearly the lane's getting a little bit anxious, trying to force these bigger plays.
But we're seeing there is no hesitation from KT. Perfect with the confidence on the rumble to go in. But for BDD, as I wanted to, just as a small reminder, this man was one game away from making, and I would say dragging his team to finals back in 2021. As
Doctam going in, Hunter's volley not quite enough. Now Keria is looking to finish the job himself. Slowly but surely the Poppy whittling him down. Doctam forced to flash away, but Keria hungry for blood. A little bit more time, the Q flat forward. Doctam with a bit of a sidestep, extra movement speed, trying to make it through the minions. Doctam living for an extra moment, avoiding the angle back into the wall. Keria gets the knockback. The Glenn's coming out. 1-for-1 in the bottom lane.
And Doctam tries to get Guma, pays for it with his life, but he does get the trade back.
Okay, now they're going to gank bottom lane too. Guma's trying to push the wave in. They're going to punish him.
Flash.
The wraparound. Braum is there. Wukong is there.
Doctam on the way down. He won't be there in time. However, Unbreakable Peter looking to mark him up. Concussive blows finally hitting. Auto attack reset more than enough. Gumayusi falls at the hands of Cuz.
And KT are not letting them breathe. That is already a kill going over to Cuz. Wukong accelerated, and it's a 1.2k gold lead at 6 minutes, Kobe!
And Cuz has done so much for this KT squad. He has been carrying really heavily himself. With early money onto Wukong, you get to your Triforce so accelerated, and you can win those mid-game team fights. Here's another look at Guma baiting down until the last auto, his health bar, so that his support can go for the kill.
Because Docdom was trying to just cancel the base, but didn't know Keria was still there. Keria was in the tri-bush, cancelled his base, and that's what led to this extended sequence. And Keria going for... This was fine, right? That 1-for-1 trade is good because you killed the AD carry, but it's the punish onto Guma here that turns it very much in favor of KT.
Exactly. The reason why you say that play is fine is because then they're going to assume that they get to push in on the minions afterwards, which would make it worth it. But the timings from Peter and Cuz, they've been so synced up this game. The early roam into the river, this roam here, they come back out onto the map at the perfect timing to punish the attempt to push the wave in, which also earns them this early dragon. And as we talked about in the setup, before you even got into game number one can have huge implications here as far as the confidence for KT in their ability in this grand finals. They talked about it after upsetting Gen G, and they are off to a very good start here early on in game number one.
Incredibly impressive start as once again the flick connecting onto BDD. Faker holding his own in the mid lane decently well despite those early kills going down, but you both highlighted it so well. Docdom, really everything working out perfectly for him as his team is there to support. His team is there to cover. We did see in the picture-in-picture while we were breaking down that replay an attempted gank top side from Oner. Wanted to try to find an angle onto Perfect. Beautiful size up on the W means it doesn't go through. But KT on the bottom lane, now that Guma has this 6, potentially more angle here for T1 to play if they want to recoup some of these losses.
And for T1, there is still a lot of power in their team fight. I particularly like your ability to single out targets and force unfair fights, right? With the Talia, with the Poppy as well. Poppy in particular can really turn any game around as long as you find high enough value targets. But we also need to be real. This early game is being completely run right now by KT.
T1 recognize they cannot contest the grubs. Prio on the top side still in favor of Perfect. Mid lane relatively even, slightly in favor of the side of T1. Faker hovers into the darkness, threatens maybe a Weaver's Wall to the bottom lane, but Peter and Docdom pretty effortlessly holding for now. So difficult to dive this Ashe Braum, but Keria might go for it anyway. On forward, Docdom there. In case to stand behind me wants to come through, but Keria, of course, can interrupt. Flashing out instead, then using the W to escape, just to make sure the Steadfast Presence does not come through. However, they're zoned away from the tower, and they're going to be losing some plates.
Okay, so KT, they back off. That does mean with the half-throw mid from Faker, who is hovering to threaten the full commitment from T1, BDD is going to shove out this mid wave first and see if there is any contest over red. It looks like Cuz, early pings, he knows that may be an objective that Oner would try and go for, and so immediately goes out to protect it.
Do really like the bounce back from T1 here, not getting drawn away as the arrow. Ooh, okay, close. Faker, not too scared of that one. But yeah, the T1 with the presence of mind, it was about a 300 gold swing thanks to the play in the bot lane, the CS denied as well as the plates. But there were free grubs for KT. We'll see if that's going to be worth or not, because it really depends on how much access they get to turrets.
True, but I want to remind people that this is Fearless, so the importance of these picks that have worked before, working again. Docdom played the Ashe, had an incredible arrow hit ratio. Shout out to our stats guy Hayden for manually tracking every arrow that hit. It's a similar story for Guma. So for Docdom to take this away from Guma and have a good game is crucial for KT's game plan, as the ulti doesn't connect from Doran. That's crushing. Very likely would have been a sure thing on the initial kill, and now Perfect wants to go for the all-in. Keria on the way up, but Perfect is completely overheated. Buying a bit more time to overheat now as he turns back into the wave. Damage coming in, and the rest of the team has arrived! Spinning right on top of Doran, it is a Cyclone! Keria running for his life, concussed, taken down, KT dominating game one.
Perfect on his rumble. There is a reason he is so confident on that champion. Teleports down to the bottom side, will equalize the play.
So the cross map doesn't work out, and targeting Perfect has been a strategy employed against KT for the whole year. So it makes sense that T1 tries to go for it. But once that ultimate misses, you can't keep forcing it. Perfect, able to stay alive, doesn't really take any meaningful damage, and his reinforcements ensure KT now up 5-1.
We were thinking there was so much talk about T1 and the possible 3-peat and 4 finals in a row, and how their advantage is going to be how confident they will be under these bright lights. But KT are playing this game #1. Like, they're the most confident I have ever seen.
Which is so impressive when we look back at the media day at the press conference, and Peter was talking about how Keria is perfect in every way. The only thing he had going for him was supposed to be his rookie spirit, but he's been first on the map. He is paired up with Cuz so incredibly well. Now almost a 2,000 gold lead for KT. T1 not out of it yet, but sent reeling in an early game where they gave the ideal topside to the side of KT, even after 3 targeted mid lane bans.
And it's honestly impressive. I really like the angle from Peter, who, again, debuted in 2022. And obviously, this is his first World Final, as we have seen many a time, which is still, to me, a heartwarming fact. Had never actually taken a plane out of Korea until he got to Worlds. But thus far, we're actually seeing, I think, coming into the draft, we were looking at what is the comfort going to be, and thus far the comfort has worked out in favor of KT, and what is the bot lane matchups going to look like. And when Keria did go for this blind Poppy, we knew it was a gamble, and thus far it hasn't paid off. But in these team fights, the Poppy can still secure a numbers advantage.
KT don't have prio in the lanes. They have enough vision to know the objective hasn't been started, but they have to be careful at checking fog of war. They wait to have 3 members strong. They spot Keria, and they know that is their time to step up. Oner waiting. Gumayusi on the way in. Arrow connecting. No chance to use the cousin guard. It might be too late by the time Oner does it. Realm War behind, and it's BDD right on top of Oner, but Faker is there to cover. Instantly, he's sprinting out to safety as Doc Dam starts to rain hell onto Oner, but the Xin is too damn tanky. The objective in the sights of KD. Kuma, not enough time to charge the arrow. Second Drake dropping for KT ROLSTER.
And T1 second smite, this time cannot find the arrow. Second Drake goes over, and it's again no hesitation from KT.
KT, I mean, they've just been so methodical in this game with their lane assignments, with their choices here for objectives. They pull the pincer closed, they trap T1, force them off, multiple flashes invested from both sides though. So I'm definitely looking at Doctum as well. This Ashe with no cleanse and no flash after this bottom side river fight. That may be an area where T1 look to try and punish him, to try and get some gold to get back into this game.
Because it does feel thus far, KT has been the one calling most of the shots. Really, even the kill that they got onto Doctum was him going in. He did get punished for that, traded. But it's really been KT on the forward. Even here, where they did not have prio, as you highlighted, Dracos, they were still able to use the engage power of that Ashe as well as the Wukong. And I shudder to think what would have happened if Perfect had joined that fight, because the Rumble with the equalizer could have made that a lot worse. T1 was able to get out, and they will keep the gold within relative touching distance, but early Drake stacking, an incredible team fighting, team composition, and just the confidence with which KT is playing thus far is really impressive.
So I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on if T1 are able to create some pockets of vision that they can abuse and make some picks of their own. They do have Talia Wall as well as Mbessa Ultimate, very long range abilities here to try and make some of those picks. Gumayusi as well, fairly good at this Varus and throwing out those skill shots. So we'll see if they can actually punish the Ashe in mid. So far, I'd say Doctum is playing incredibly well. Look how safe he is being on the Ashe. Right now, when he had nobody near him, he backed off to his tower, even with nobody showing. He's got his hawk shot, and KT have plenty of vision for him up through the top side of mid lane, giving him that safety where he can just kind of hug that wall. And so I feel like KT are almost removing any of these comeback options, these avenues for T1, because they know that's what they're looking for. But BDD!
Doran full committing. The root does manage to connect. Doran can't keep the dive, but BDD is not going to over push here.
Nice force by Doran. Gets his ult off, and BDD forced the flash. A big win there, because that does mean some of the engages of T1 a lot more scary.
Exactly. Plus, you know, maybe picking someone off in a side lane, not just looking at that mid lane here with another flash down.
Very important for T1 that in a deficit like this, although not game-ending, that they can find these avenues for individual outplays. But now it's Doran's flash traded back. BDD came back to lane. Redemption coming down to heal him up. Major cooldown that will not be available, crucially, for this Herald. KT are already on it, and they've just been one step ahead of T1 the entire game.
Herald guaranteed, and what is the counterplay for T1 even? With Doran being pushed off of the top side of the map, there's not much for them to get except for a Scuttle Crab. Bottom side mid wave is not even going to get pushed all the way in.
Doran!
That's 4 people!
Overstaying, concussive blows, the Cyclone immediately comes out as well. Doran can't push a single button! KT merciless on the dive. Doran caught asleep at the wheel, overconfident T1 trying to fire back for the first tower, but it's KT who get it.
They've got the boot upgrades already, and they get the tower early here. 2,000 now, the gold lead. The dragon stacking continuing. KT in game number 1. The coaster does keep going up, Chronicler.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, what goes up eventually. Oh, arrow doesn't
Nice
hit.
sidestep Peter there in time to body block if necessary.
But I want to highlight, what did this cost for T1? So Doran TP's top to try and salvage this turret, right? Stall. If there's 2 people there, he can probably at least keep it alive long enough for his team to win it. But he TP's in. Then Faker also has the TP towards top to prevent them from taking down the inner. So now T1 not going to have those available for any upcoming fight. In about a minute, the possible soul point for KT is spawning.
And credit to T1, they're leveraging the power of the bar as well in the mid lane. They've consistently had mid-prio. They've used it to chunk away at that turret, chip away at that potential objective. Losing out on the boots is very unfortunate, but need to see if KT can keep this momentum going, because this is the pocket of vision you were talking about. Already set up by T1. One step ahead when it comes to this objective and the control they have over the area. KT might just give it. Only now are they getting control of mid lane.
Yeah, at the middle stage of the game, the team fights are definitely still very winnable here for T1. There has not been this huge break point that KT have hit, even though they do have a very nice lead in this one. You know, Cuz does not have his full second item completed on the Wukong just yet, so it is still about positioning and execution as they look towards this Dragon Soul point. 4 seconds on the arrival of the Mounted Dragon, and Rifthold is used mid for priority.
Wall to try to block the initial charge. Is just going to deny that. Well played. Good piece of mind by Faker to deny that potential prio point. It still does mean, however, that KT get access first to the objective. Oner, Guma, Faker, Keria all ready to go. Keria's ulti, you highlighted it earlier, can be crucial, can deny some of the members of KT access to the pit here, but it's a very slow, drawn-out secure. BDD marking Doran on the flank. Arrow starting to rain. Peter getting chunked out. A flashback from Perfect. T1 chipping away at those resources. Eyes on the equalizer. Redemption now used. Cooldown up just in time. KT keeps going, but now they want to turn it right back. Instantaneous equalizer. Keria locked up. Rumble coming in, but denied. Keria wants to knock Perfect out of the fight, but it might not matter because it's Doran into the back line. Oner stays standing. Cuz take it down. T1 fire back.
No matter the early deficit, T1, they still win the team fight. They still get the dragon, and they're looking for BDD.
On the hunt for BDD, but there's just nowhere for him to go. In the blink of an eye, KT's lead disappears.
And KT, they walk into the pincer. That objective just a little bit too juicy, but they will pay for it very heavily as the attempted engage onto Keria is stopped by his W.
How clutch are they? Look at Oner starting it out with the Zin ultimate to spread them apart, and Doran following it up on his Mbessa, and they split apart the team fight so meticulously, and they immediately steal the objective on top of it.
Frustration on the face of KT, not the end of the world, but the goal is a lot closer now. We look back at that team fight. Oner, a hero, Guma raining down arrows, but also Doran was getting focused, made a mistake TPing to the top side, bounced right back in that fight to be critical for that T1 advantage.
Saw Zin in the trailer, right?
Yup.
Zin, some new lore. Maybe Oner is the main character.
And I want to highlight what you said earlier, Kobe, because it was really, if you looked at the actual item finishes, basically everyone in the game was sitting on like an item and a couple of components. So if KT have maybe a couple more breakpoints that they've hit, could have been a difference maker. Now T1, slight gold lead, but I do think it's again important to remind everyone that I do still love the KT comp when it comes to the actual 5v5, but we are seeing if Doran and/or Oner can get on that backline, can get on top of Dokdam and BDD, the fights are basically unplayable for KT.
Yeah, and the reason we keep highlighting a lot of the setup players here for this team is because if you do have good setup for Taliyah, Faker's Taliyah, the combos are so deadly. And Faker this tournament as well has been able to do a lot of raw Taliyah Ws to find picks and find burst damage.
Guys.
So let's see about the approach to the Otacon.
Otacon, for now, just the ward.
Doran is getting the top tower at the moment, so that is going to be guaranteed gold here for T1.
And this is the struggle of playing against T1. Their movement around the map is so confident. KT need to be ready to pull the trigger, and they have. Otacon started. A big risk. Doran resetting back to base, likely to finish the second item before he TPs into the fight if needed. Oner in the area. It might come down to just a 50-50, but Faker also has access to the Weaver's wall critically. No flash for Dokdam. No flash for Cuz. KT luckily able to reset the objective, but I don't think they're going to get a chance to leave quite yet. T1 know they have an advantage in the fight if it comes down to the 5v5. Flash forward, ulti into the back, immediately things get kicked off, but Peter does his best to heroically disengage. It is not enough to keep Doc Dom standing. Cuz taken out as well. Doran in the 3v1, completely and totally unfazed. Keria there to stop any further follow-up. Faker taking down Perfect, and BDD is not enough to stop T1.
And it's the Crook Lord that finds his mark. Duckdom goes down, and T1 turn onto Otacon.
Doran, the addition to this T1 roster, annihilated him.
Hello.
Resetting, resistance is shredded by the Otacon. Keria, ward over the wall, spots out Cuz. T1 know it's a 50-50 now. 5 seconds on Doc, but he doesn't have access to a TP to make it to the fight any faster. Perfect TP available. BDD finds the angle into Doran. Keria now backing up 3K on the objective. Getting lower. Steadfast presence gone. Faker on the backside. Cuz wants to try to make it out of this one, but now they're moving at the advantage. Take out Guma. No, Guma living. Like to finish him. Looking for a bit more damage, but T1, they find the double for Keria. They take the Thornbound Otacon, and Perfect. It is too little. It is too late.
Baker teleports in and he saves the team fight. He gets that shove. They get the Otacon.
And KT try their darndest to get that objective, not able to do so. And so many cooldowns used there as well. That's going to set up perfectly for T1. 3.5k gold lead. 1 minute till the next Mountain Dragon. And now T1, it feels like they're in full control.
What a fight, what a scramble. BDD makes a heads-up play, flashing onto Doran to get the first kill of the fight. And then T1 are communicating the teleport arrival from Faker. Look at Oner running away so that Cuz can't find burst damage onto him. And once Faker comes in and gets a double shove.
And that shove ends the fight immediately. They were a member up. And Perfect, if he was alive just a little bit earlier, could have been the difference maker, but not in time. And T1 now with the biggest lead we've seen in this game so far.
After that 4K gold lead on top of a discrepancy of 38 petals, 40-2.
Oh my God.
Nearly 8K in gold and an additional effective stats or XP from those petals. A nearly unstoppable advantage. Luxury items coming through. The Seeker is there for Faker. Perfect's utilized in the previous fight. Things are getting dark for the side of KT. They're going to fight back to the bottom lane to try to get vision of this area. They could not secure the third Drake, but they desperately want the soul point. They spot Faker on the flank. One more fumbled fight might just take them out of this game entirely.
Cuz is getting chunked, already took an arrow. Faker's looking to split the fight.
7K. Cuz gonna have a hard time healing back up that chip damage.
Reset.
Does have access to the Sundered Sky. Objective reset now. Eyes on those support cooldowns as well. Keria's ulti, the Unbreakable for the Braum will be important as T1 already getting mid-prio. Doran fishing for the flank once again. Ready to come over the wall with the public execution. Keria going into the wall, locking up Cuz. Instantaneous knockup! A flawless combo to keep it going. Duckdown finally escapes, but he just finds himself in a 1v1 versus Doran. Hope fading fast for the side of KT as Keria is still standing. Perfect and BDD running for the hills. T1 grabbing their second Drake, but Oner not done yet. Knocks Peter out as well.
And Cuz just doesn't get to play the game. Keria, who we haven't talked about in a bit, had a rough start to the lane. I'm thinking now the Poppy pick really works out. He's the one that set up the pick onto the Wukong, and he gets CC'd 100-0.
Keria Poppy, my boy. Oh my goodness, what an engage. Honestly, let's watch it again, guys.
As look at the combo here, and it's the immediate follow-up that to me seals the deal, right? It's Doran is ready, Oner's there, Faker sets up the wall for the sandwich, and even though BDD and Perfect are trying their best, again, without that Wukong, without that front to back in these messy skirmishes, T1 is just reigning supreme.
The confidence in each other is what really makes this team elite here for T1. You said it, no hesitation from them. They all go in at the same moment. They all find the engage, they find the kills, and they find themselves almost 5,000 gold in the lead.
It's not just that, look at the levels. Doran is 2 levels up, Oner is 2 levels up, BDD is kind of okay, and indeed, as Kobe nicely points out to me, we already talked about it's 43-2, right? So BDD is the only one that's even because of the Roa, and now, as T1 does, they're going to start up this Baron.
And it's a terrifying position for KT because they know if a single member of their team makes a misstep, the fight very likely ends. The Braum was supposed to be the tool that stopped this dive from Doran, that stopped the dive from Oner from coming through. But if T1 are the ones to kick it off, it just has not been enough.
Seen this one before. Yeah, they don't dare to go for it. We've seen this exact bait a million times. Obviously, Faker does a flash. If they try the arrow, could have made it out, but they don't want to go for it.
Yeah. Faker with his arm guard has a couple of ways to buy some time if you overextend going for the chase. But then you look at the mentality on the other side as KT, and you kind of have to go for one of these plays to pick someone off out of position. You have to hope that you're going to be able to surprise someone with an Ashe arrow and immediately delete them.
When we're looking at Doctom, you highlighted it. That's the arrow. The sustained damage that Ashe can bring to the table is, of course, impactful, even on 2 items. But none of these fights have been long fights. He's been deleted at the start of every single one. So finding that advantage, finding that additional member in a fight, making sure it is a 5v4 in the favor of KT, crucial for the next fight. The combo is still there. The Cyclone, the Equalizer. You can see how KT can find advantage, but it just has not been working out past the 15-minute mark.
I also love that Keria Poppy has the most kills of any single player in the entire game.
Feels apt.
Battle Poppy, baby.
Yeah, look at his items. That helps, right?
The redemption.
The redemption locket as they're going to start it up.
He's got the TP, he's got the heal, he's ready to move across the map and make plays. Eyes on the Keeper's verdict to see if they can force Cuz out of the pit. 7K, objective getting lower. Oner isolated. Faker off to the side, likely going to have to use the arm guard. Extra shield coming in. Faker, stone cold as he holds the cooldown. Doctam starting to push forward, but he really doesn't have too much damage. Eyes on Perfect and Cuz, the Equalizer, the Cyclone. T1 moving through the choke point, but KT don't have the vision they need. Finally, the ward dropped as T1 once again take control of mid, but happy to just trade a few cooldowns and back away.
And it was the resilience of KT that got them the win against Gen G. That game looked dire as well. TP comes in from Faker, won't have his ult, Oner goes in.
Catch him out, Unbreakable used to kick off the fight. That's the ulti from Gumayusi. Good response coming in from Perfect, but the damage not really enough. Ulti does not connect from Doran. Knockback from Keria takes BDD out of the equation. And once again, it's Doran on top of Doctam. Concussive blows buy him an additional second. Perfect running. The flick back likely to come through as Faker tries to get the damage down, but now he finds himself in a brief 2v1. Goes Golden. Knocked back into the wall! Keria there right in time as KT are effortlessly dismantled. Doran dropping Perfect as well.
And they're going to at least get the shove. I was kind of wondering whether they wanted to play for the end, but not going to be the case. TP's toward the Baron, and T1 about to close out this game.
Yep, that's a T1 Baron, all right. Here's another look. Oner starts it out early, knowing that they have the rotation up from Faker as well. And so bottom side of the fight, you see Faker coming over while Oner, his ultimate actually expires, and they trade 1-for-1 on those junglers. But since Faker's able to section off the rest of the KT members here, Perfect has to flash, and BDD doesn't get a chance.
And BDD, he flashed onto Oner trying to take him down, but just wasn't perfectly in range. Didn't actually do any damage to him, and then got taken out of the fight, I think, by the Poppy, which meant that they were severely lacking damage there.
And again, Faker, perfect knowledge of his cooldowns in that extended fight. Waits for the Seraph, knows it'll save him. Still has access, crucially, to the Zanyas when BDD and Perfect try to go all in. But now, the Hail Mary, KT betting it all. 5 members strong, but it's a Baron buff empowering T1. As long as they buy time here, they're chipping away at that Red Bull Baron power play. Objective getting lower. Oner waiting over the wall to divide the team coming in from Faker. Denied a bit by Peter, and it's Oner now on the flank looking for Cuz. Not sure if he's found him. Cuz turning right back onto Oner. Oner instantaneously into the back line. The concussive blows there, as is the perfect execution. Keria in the thick of it. Gumayusi and Faker untouched coming over the wall, but it's Faker. Full confidence is the flash, but unfortunately the flip back goes wide. Doran turns it right back with a sundering blow. KT pulling away. Man advantage for the side of T1 being ushered out. Keria wants to deny it, but he will only be able to isolate Perfect. The Baron still backing them up. The Dragon in their sights. T1 once again taking a fight.
And an attempt from KT to maybe get a soul point because T1 took that Baron. Not going to end up working out. That's going to be triple Mountain Drakes to come through here. The turn onto Oner actually ended up working out decent, but it's Gandora and is always there to help out his jungler.
Yeah, and he's just annihilating Doctam fight after fight after fight. So even when Oner goes down in the sacrifice, they're able to pull it back. Look at the burst damage there as well at the end. And then Chronicler, once again, Perfect is left out. Well, the rest of the team escapes in the Realm Warp on the edge.
And you can see there's so much damage from this KT top side, but I guarantee if we were to look at the healing, the Oner, that Sundered Sky is doing a ton of work. The shielding coming in from Doran, making it so impossible for KT, even when they spot that member isolated, even when they think that someone like Oner has overstepped, they just cannot finish these crucial kills. On top of that, their reliance on magic damage to burst through health bars being very heavily mitigated by the double Maw of Malmortius for Doran and Oner respectively.
In the moment that Dogdom's taken out of the fight, Cuz alone can't really do enough AD damage. And guess what? He's been taken out every single time. As being Ashe against all these dive threats, T1, even though the very early skirmish didn't go their way, are now marching on KT's base.
Final wave of this Red Bull Baron power play. Brought in the mid lane from Faker. Wall to isolate the tower. They want to break open the space, limit the options for KT. T1 outplaying in the fights, and now that they have a lead, they're not looking to give anything away. 3 minutes on the next Baron, 3 minutes on Soul for T1. Is Faker still fishing for the flick back, for the seismic shove. But KT running out of options fast. The damage has not been enough. The positioning, the setups just have not been good enough. And T1 have been more than happy to punish and tear apart this KT team.
So telling that KT is still stuck at 2 pedals, because ever since T1 is going to control, they haven't been able to play the game. They've just been locked out of objectives, locked out of lanes. And now it's hard to imagine a world where this game 1 can go their way. T1 with the resilience, the experience of this roster. Again, 4 of which were 1 game away from making it 5 Worlds Finals in a row, which would have been even more silly. But their form is not bad either.
Definitely not too shabby. Let's take a look, though, because we're going to teleport up to the top side and look to get our ending push in for T1. Quite probably as they rotate everybody over to this corner of the map. Bot side, BDD trying to buy some time since the inhibitor is down in this lane. He's pushing it out to try and hopefully for KT set up one of many defenses that they're going to need to fight their way back into this game.
Perfect, going to use the equalizer to clear the way, but it will not stop the tier 2 tower from falling. Does give a bit more time to BDD to get a tower back in response, securing a bounty, but it's still a 9,000 gold difference. I don't even care about the pedal math anymore. All you need to know is it is a lot. It is a lot of lead for the side of T1, and for KT, it will take a miracle or a misstep from the side of T1 to bring them back.
And you already kind of start to think about drafts for the rest of the series as well, as we are in Fearless. And we're seeing why so many teams ban Poppy versus Keria. But then you're thinking, okay, yeah, Keria, he had amazing Poppy ultimates this game.
Yeah.
He had amazing engages, but are you going to give him Nico? No. Are you going to give him Bard? No. Are you going to give him Renata? It's so hard. This player is just so good.
He got 4 bans in our first draft. Alistair, Renata, you highlighted the Bard and the Nico as well. Obviously, those first 2 a bit more contextual, but when his 5th pick is winning games in team fights, it's a reminder to why this player is held in such high regard, and a reminder to what a glow-up in form he has had. Domestic Keria was solid, right? Still a good support. But this version of Keria, world-class.
Faker also has 100% kill participation on the Talia, by the way. Full 20 for 20 there.
That's 18.
Just kidding. That's why you don't do math.
I was about to say. It's okay. It's okay.
That Keria double kill didn't count. We don't give that one. That one. Those 2 just
It
didn't
happens
count.
to the best of us.
I felt like
Don't
we
worry
needed a
about it.
comedic break.
Yeah, because barring a KT steal of this next dragon, the game will end on maybe Baron, definitely Mountain Soul.
We do see a Vamp Scepter for Doc Dom. Some grievous wounds as well, maybe help him heal back up, but of course the range discrepancy is big. But more importantly, 3rd item coming in for Cuz, 4th item for BDD, that death cap. Maybe now if they catch someone out from T1, they'll be able to finish those crucial kills. However, you have the pressure point on the top side from Faker. In the bottom lane, super minions are barreling in. KT, if they make a single wrong choice, they're likely to lose something regardless of the outcome.
And this is just going to be gone if they don't make a play. It's going to be a big Realm Warp. But you're Realm Warping possibly straight into your Doom, and they're not even going to get the chance!
Cuz taken out of the equation, 6K getting lower. KT start to flounder. They decide it's not worth it. They decide they don't want it. Instead, they're going to turn their sights to the Drake, spawning in 4 seconds. T1 already have secured the Baron on the back of a Keeper's Verdict from Keria. Now they might just look to end it here. Flash forward. Perfect execution! Aptly named as Doc Dam
takes him down. KT now chasing out as well. BDD trying to well more back into the rest of the team, but Keria once again there to interrupt. Doran unfazed by the magic damage of BDD. It's a double kill coming through. Perfect and Cuz, the last two left standing, but a TP into the base to bring back and seal the deal in game one. T1, what a performance.
And Perfect running for the hills. I don't think his survival is gonna matter as Doran and Keria show a masterclass in this game one. The lane for both, I think, looked a little precarious, but those team fights, man, that's a smile on the face of T1's top laner. Doran